Harley, you're losing control.
It's part of my charm. Stop trying to kill me, will ya? Again! Ready for some slapstick?
New Harley, sing crazy.
Blue Beetle was a fan-requested character. People voted for him, basically, and you've done this a few times. Like, what other characters are you considering, or have you considered based on fan feedback?
Well, you know, we've had what's cool about this game is, you know, because we have a bigger roster and we have other, you know, we're trying to introduce move characters. We're getting deeper into the DC. You know, roster of characters that aren't, you know, Superman, Batman, Aquaman, and whatnot. So characters like Blue Beetle and, you know, the not quite as known but really strong fan following. You know, like when we announced him at Comic-Con, you know, people lost their minds.
Of course.
It was ridiculous. And so this is the kind of stuff that you're gonna, as we continue to announce characters, we're gonna see these kinds of characters like favorites. You know, I always tell people, guess 10 characters, you're probably going to get 7 out of the 10 right being in the game.
You had guest appearances in The Last Injustice, like Scorpion, for example.
That's right.
Do you think you'll ever do anything like that again?
We don't announce it, but, you know, like just giving you kind of facts of, like, Scorpion was the most downloaded character, you know, by a good margin. So I'd be surprised if we didn't do something like that again. And if we did, though, it probably would be a different Mortal Kombat character.
Interesting, interesting.
yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. So the fans vote. They want Blue Beetle. Where do you go conceptually from there?
Well, it's we obviously have to you know, kind of figure out what gear we're going to give him. That's our kind of like main new feature. But, you know, what usually starts is we get concept work, and then the designers start doing, you know, their research with the characters. A lot of times they're already familiar with them. They were clamoring for Blue Beetle as well in the game, and so, you know, they just have a they're just as passionate as the fans that we have, and, you know, so to me it's a lot of fun to kind of like get that feedback from fans, you know, little Twitter polls and stuff like that, and just comments, seeing where people said Blue Beetle was easily one of the most requested characters in the first Injustice that we didn't get a chance to do.
Definitely. So we're going to go into a rematch, Harley and Blue Beetle here. Hopefully we see Blue Beetle's super again, because it's awesome. So Harley Quinn, how have you changed her? She was in the original, she's in the sequel, she's been tweaked, right?
Yes, yes. Well, the approach that we're trying to take with all of the returning characters is that they have you know, like a familiarity about them. Like, you know, so if you were really good with them, we want you to feel at least competent with them. But we want to add a significant amount of new stuff with them. So like Harley, you know, before she didn't have these hyenas that she can kind of send going at the opponent. And so we gave her that. She has new, you know, new combos and new moves that she didn't have before, but she has, you know, some of that familiarity though, that so you could still kind of feel like. So it's a tough balance. We really don't want to just rehash the last character, the last version of the character.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we want you to feel, you know, if that was your favorite character, you love how that character played, the essence is still kind of there.
Definitely. And her character model has also been tweaked a little bit. What changes did you make there?
The character models are being redone completely.
Yes.
You know, we have a completely new graphics engine. We have a lot more, you know, power. You know, we're the way we create our characters is completely different from the previous games. So we start from scratch, and we actually, you know, scan faces. You know, we actually have, you know, a lot more sophisticated way to create the content. So as far as bringing stuff from the old game, none of that comes over graphically.
We're also looking at Blue Beetle, and after this awesome stage transition, I love these things. A lot of people really want that character.
Yeah, yeah, he's
in the
he's
game.
up on he's on the list too. You know, of asks, certainly of asks, and you know, he could very well end up being on the roster.
Interesting. Let's focus on Blue Beetle for a second.
Sure.
So this is a really cool character. He has sort of a shape-shifting armor. What kind of stuff can he do?
Yeah, well, like you said, he has, you know, he can turn his arms into a variety of guns. You know, like in a super move in particular, he has, you know, well, you could see the blades that he has there. He uses them in combos, and then he also transforms a couple of times during his super move, which is cool to see here.
Definitely has a lot of deadly attacks. We see him using his blasters.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he's got the scarab and, you know, the arms that come out and whatnot he uses. So he's very, you know, very unique character into the Injustice roster.
I toyed around with him a little bit behind closed doors. It seems like he could be played a little bit of range, but mostly you want to get up close and personal.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, like I said, with some of that stuff, that stuff will change as you pick different like gear and whatnot. You know, you're going to have if you really like that range stuff there. I think
I'm very, very excited about seeing Wonder Woman in game again. You have definitely reworked her character model.
Yes,
she looks fantastic.
Yeah,
so that made me very happy. But what other tweaks have happened with her?
Well, in Injustice 1, her you know, kind of main fighting style was switching between, you know, like a hand-to-hand and like holding the sword and the weapon. And you would switch between those and have a different kind of move set based on that. Now we are strictly with the sword, and she has the shield on her back, and she still uses them, but she doesn't go switching her stances there, so you could see how she powered up there. And so with Wonder Woman, we decided to you know, kind of change her kind of like main power and come up with something new. So we're going to be going the whole range of things. If there's something we think of that we can make a character feel really fresh or something, or we felt we could do something even cooler than the last game, that doesn't mean we're not going to try doing something like that as well.
So mechanically, Derek actually showed me something before we were recording a live segment, and that's that, like, if you do a wall bounce, for example, you're not necessarily going to land your whole combo. People can actually snap out of that now.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that mechanic?
Well, there's a number of things that you can kind of break out of now where you couldn't before, and that's kind of like an overall kind of design philosophy that the designers came up with that lets you just kind of, you know, again, just come up with kind of custom situations, and they're taking things that in the last game that was
there.
Yeah, exactly. That you were kind of like stuck in and letting you kind of break out of them and fool the other guy. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of mind games and stuff like that.
Yeah, it kind of like elevates that game of
Exactly.
figuring out what the other player's up to, how to knock them out of it.
Yeah, and not letting you quite assume that something, oh, then this happens, then that happens, because you can kind of mix that up.
Definitely. You know, we did a rewind theater about this scene. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what has happened in the background here? Because this is kind of a story element.
Yeah, you know, one of the things about the Injustice is the stories really resonated with players, and it has, you know, it spawned its own comic book and whatnot. And so in this scene, this is kind of like, you know, a rebuilding of Metropolis. And so there are these statues that are kind of representing, you know, the kind of historic events that have happened. It's almost like a museum type of thing. And so that's the kind of like origin of some of these things. We're probably going to release some you know, content that will give a little bit more like kind of background detail to that.
There's some interesting locations that the train travels to on the sign there, including like Star City, Emerald City. Are you trying to tell us something there?
Well, you know, we just love to put as many nods, even if they're like little, you know, teases and stuff like that to the game. Just littered throughout the game, because there's so much lore in the DC universe that we just love to kind of sprinkle it in there. We did that kind of with Mortal Kombat. We put little clues all over the place.
On purpose, obviously.
Yeah, we're jerks like that sometimes.
We're going to look at one more round with Wonder Woman, and then I want to talk about the gear. So let's discuss it a little bit now. So this new system, how does it work exactly?
Well, at the highest level, the description I would say is that gear is costume pieces that you find and apply to your character that actually enhance your fighting And so, your character, you're in the constant process of, leveling up your character and finding better gear and appropriate gear that, like let's say if, you want something that's going to enhance your projectiles because you're a far away character. You want to find gear that will, enhance the damage on the projectiles, or do something that is just consistent with the way you like to start playing. So there are tons of variables in the game, and you get to modify, enhance. Moves will unlock and whatnot. So you're in this constant process of kind of sculpting your personal version of Batman, Superman, Aquaman, etc. like that.
Yeah, and when you build up your character to level 20, that's what we've seen in your build so far, that level 20 is the max.
Sure.
How do you normalize for level 20 gear-specific play versus ranked play?
Well, for tournaments and whatnot, like the fighting game tournaments, we're definitely going to have like a tournament mode that will basically, even everybody out, and kind of like this will be our regulation mode that you play in the game, and that will be what we use in like tournaments for like prize money and whatnot. But as far as like the experience online is, that's what we want. We want you to have a better character. If you're at level 20, we want to match you up with somebody at around your level. But the whole purpose is to get a better version. Your version of Batman is going to be better than somebody who's at level 6 or something. It'll be stronger. It'll have the enhancements that you applied to it. It'll look differently.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, that's the whole magic of this game, is that kind of ongoing, never-ending process of finding the Flash or something like that. And so we have, just quite a bit of, we got to come up with hundreds and hundreds of these, pieces for each character. And so that's, it's a lot of fun.
What about the not so cool stuff? Like Wonder Woman has had her fair share of television shows where maybe her costume didn't look quite as cool as it does today.
You know what? There's a coolness to the not coolness.
Exactly.
I think there'll be a novelty to somebody saying, I got a Wonder Woman, from the TV show, the Linda Carter costume. Some people might think it's lame. Some people might, have good memories from it.
So we might see something like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, there are obstacles with each one of them. We can't just go kind of free reigning, but we definitely plan on having, like for instance, we might have like a Suicide Squad, outfit for Harley Quinn or something like that. Just there have been so many kind of like iconic moments, of these characters, and people just remember them, and it'd just be cool to dress like that.
Yeah.
So.
There's characters in the universe, like in Injustice 1 there was Joker, and then you gave him a skin for like Red Hood and stuff like that. We know the Flash is in Injustice 2, or at least we've seen him in the CG trailer. Are we going to get alternate skins there with the Flash, like where he is the yellow version of the suit, or is that going to be considered for a character? Like, how do you make those sort of decisions?
Well, yeah, there's two things that that come into play. One is because our main kind of new feature is based on the costume. We don't. That doesn't really leave us a lot of room for opening skins, kind of like we've done traditionally in the past, where what you look like has nothing to do with anything. It's just kind of, your gameplay. So those kind of things will be usually attributed to gear. Like if we have, a piece of gear that might be a reference to something from a movie or something, and if you put them all together, it might create like a loadout that is, a special version, or a special piece of gear that might, Flash might have something like a helmet or something that turns you into the Reverse Flash, something like that. So we're going to have these kind of cameo characters that'll be associated with things that you find and apply to your character. That's going to be a part of the fun, is hunting those down.
You do have alternate colors. How are those unlocked?
One of the slots is like what some people refer to as like dye or color. That'll actually likely be where we're going to put those alternate
Sort of
costumes
options.
and stuff, because that's all visual. That slot has nothing to do with gameplay. It's just a visual cosmetic thing, and those are the things that we really want to kind of go crazy with.
Historically, what have been some of your favorite outfits to add to the Injustice series? I personally love the Green Arrow television skin.
Yeah, that was
Arrow
awesome,
was really,
and we
really
used the
good at
voice with it and stuff. Yeah, those and the TV stuff. We also added the TV, the flash and reverse flash in the Injustice Mobile game. And, you know, we just like the Man of Steel Superman and all of these kind of more recent nods to it. But to me, all those things in general, there's like a novelty to it that's just very cool, you know.
You've done Injustice Mobile, you did MKX Mobile. Are you going to do like an Injustice 2 mobile, or will it work with the original Injustice app in some way?
We're still kind of working through that. You know, there are benefits to each way. You know, you know, I can't imagine us not continuing with how well the first mobile game did, not either continuing that or, you know, doing a brand new one. But, you know, there will be in some representation a mobile, you know, mobile representation of Injustice 2.
So we've been talking a lot about Injustice. I'm going to talk about Mortal Kombat for a second. Somebody discovered something you put in Mortal Kombat 2 recently.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I was a little, you know, I was a little pissed off.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was a little, well, you know, when I put it in, I was in my 20s back then.
Yeah.
It was a long, long time ago. And I thought, oh, nobody's going to figure this out because, you know, you have to do all these things. But, you know, I didn't think that 25 years later, somebody could disassemble your code. Somebody, that MAME was going to exist, that, you know, people could have access to these things. And so that's the kind of stuff that comes up. And it's people got a kick out of it, so that was pretty cool. But that, to me, that was something I wanted to die with.
Oh, wow.
Knowing it, being one of the only ones to know that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking at customizations of Blue Beetle. I really, really like this gold skin that we saw earlier.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Almost reminds me of like Scorpion / Cyrax or something like that from Mortal Kombat. It's a cool look.